Chase Martin, #1 watched video of all of 2022. No surprise to the big guy. But no, we just released a video kind of going over the ones that got the most views and clearly the most requested and commented on, just because you are such a big name around here. So thank you for coming back. It only seemed right to be the first interview for 2023.
Yeah, I had to get the double bicep flex with the 252. But yeah, appreciate you guys having me back, Matt, Doge, if I'm saying
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And the magician, shout out to Billy. It's great to be back. I can't believe 2023 is already here.
Yeah, it's insane. I thought we'd have flying cars by now.
Me too. Back to the Future movies are this time, literally, and we don't have flying cars yet, but it's a new year.
That's kind of what I wanted to hit on. We like to go to the gym. We have these different keystone habits in our life. And it's not something that January 1st, you're like, okay, all right, this year I'm going to do that. That's a habit we have ingrained. But there's always other things that we want to do. And, I kind of use January 1st as almost a deadline. Like, all right, I can just keep fooling around until January 1st. That's when the clock officially starts. But back to us being fitness guys, we have a tendency, we can get jaded of all the New Year's resolutions that people set for their fitness goals. Like, well, good luck finding a treadmill this week, right? It's like trying to find a seat at church on Easter Sunday. It's really difficult. We were talking before the show and you're like, well, I don't ever want to do anything to keep someone from starting. So if they have to start January 1st, more power to them. But I wanted to see, we're both former college athletes, and you've probably seen a lot of your guys that you played with, they kind of fall off the bandwagon a little bit, especially once they don't have much to train for anymore, right? They don't have that game day. It's like, I'm going to take a break. And have you had any of those guys reach out to you and be like, man, how do you find the motivation? It's just, I only worked out to play football or baseball or whatever. Have you had any of them reach out to you?
I've had some. I would say not as much as one would hopefully hope for. I would say that I think pride is an issue in the world. Pride is a problem. We have to get rid of our pride and leave it at the door. That come to the awareness, right? You can't fix a problem until you're aware of the problem and honest. So it's like, okay, I've been putting this off, procrastination. I'm complacent. I'm not content anymore. I'm complacent. I'm too comfortable. I have no goals, no aspirations, or I'm not working at them. I've done a lot of talking and analysis paralysis. I've talked about it a lot, but I've not actually applied this. And there's no better time than right now. There's no better time than now. A lot of people are waiting on the perfect weather, the perfect song, the perfect everything. And another thing I've seen a lot of from other people, friends and clients of when I was personal training, or just people I talk to, they're also looking to know every single aspect of how to do it before they even start. Or they're waiting for this idea that maybe a professional bodybuilder that's already a professional or a professional athlete, when they haven't even worked out in 10 years or 5 years or 20 years.
Right.
So starting is very important. I think to what we're talking about with the New Year's, too many people, not just a tendency, too many people are pessimistic about people starting, because the reality is, sure, a lot of people are going to fall off the bandwagon after a week or a month. I got a question for you in the audience. What are you going to do? It's your choice. You can choose to not be in that percentage of people that's going to fall off right after the new year. You can continue. In fact, you don't have to have a finish line. Sure, we can have short-term goals and moments of accomplishment and achievement that are very important along the way. We can keep setting goals, but the ultimate goal is to never end.
Right.
The first step in doing that is to start. This is a new year, this 2023, January 3rd right now, is to start. You don't have to know every answer. Just start.
Right.
Just move. And it's literally that simple. We can get strategic along the way. We can set a 5-pound, lose 5-pound goal, or bench press 10 more pounds. But the ultimate goal is that in 5 years from now, if the jock or Chase or Billy or whoever asks you, your friend, your spouse asks you, hey, you still working out? That the answer is yes. You're still going about it.
I hate when people ask me that. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, that's like, you've either gotten smaller, or you've gotten fat, or you're out of breath. Like, but yeah, I think what you're saying, and you know, because you do a lot of motivational stuff with anyone you come across, right? If you're not ready to run through a wall, Jace is going to put you in that mindset. And the reason people start isn't always the reason they stay. Telling someone, hey, work out and just know it's never going to end. You're going to do this for the rest of your life. They're like, oh man, there are short-term wins. And a lot of times back when I trained years and years ago, the goal could be, hey, I've got a 15 or 20-year reunion coming up. Hey, I'm suddenly finding myself divorced. I need to get back on the dating market. That's a short-term goal with some good motivation to get back in shape. And then you're like, this is just what I am now. This is what I do. Is that good habits are just as hard to break as bad ones. That's kind of what I've seen with you. You are on that lifelong thing, but you have a few, I guess, off ramps here and there where you're like, I'm going to do this marathon. I tell people, look, if you want to diet and get in the best shape of your life, schedule yourself to do a bodybuilding show, set a date, and just feel that anxiety of, hey, I'm about to be judged and I'm about to be up here under the bright lights. There is external motivators that are really good, like competing in a marathon, right? You did 79 last year, which has got to be a record. We talked on the phone before. You mentioned something having non-negotiables. What are some non-negotiables that you have, and what are some that you think are just kind of universal that anyone can apply that would be helpful for them?
Yes, and I'll go into those non-negotiables. I think I just want to piggyback as well on what you just brought up. An analogy as a Christian that I like. You may go to church the first time because you like the girl in the second row. And eventually your why you go to church gets more mature. It gets deeper. It becomes, you really want to have a relationship with Jesus or a relationship with God. You started off, it was about a girl in the second row. Now it's much deeper. The same thing with fitness. You can start with just wanting to lose 10 pounds or look better, have a smaller stomach, getting to that wedding dress, get into that bathing suit.
There's a pretty girl at the gym.
There's a pretty girl at the gym.
The best motivator I've seen for most people.
Yeah. But the whole point is no goal or motivation is bad.
Right.
If you stick around it long enough, your why gets deeper. You get more emotionally connected with it. And to something you brought up with bodybuilding, an event, a marathon, a weightlifting competition, a sporting event, a reunion, is that your own confidence. I mean, deeper things. There's a thing called healthy pressure. I love this thing called a rubber band effect. A rubber band doesn't hold what it's trying to hold if there's no pressure. If there's too much pressure, the rubber band breaks.
Right.
So there's a healthy amount of pressure. To what you said in my blueprint of what I call success that I want to continue for the rest of my life and thereon after, twitching in the grave. It's so important to get started, and there's no better time than right now for whoever's listening. Motivation's a great thing. I want to clarify this, but discipline and commitment have to be at the foundation.
Right.
I can create small goals, weekly, monthly, daily goals, all of that. And then a long-term goal of where I want to be in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years. I think having motivations, finding your favorite playlist, finding your goals are very important. I think it's dangerous, or it's not as effective, and why a lot of people stop working out at some point, if you will, and get complacent. That goes further than just the gym. They built everything on feeling like it.
Right.
They built all of their foundation. The very foundation of their pyramid of foundation was built on feeling, a feeling. And feelings are great. Don't get me wrong. Feeling good, wanting to, your favorite song, a beautiful day outside, you had a good night's sleep, the girl that you like is over there in the gym.
Doing glute kickbacks.
Yeah. Feeling good is okay. Don't get me wrong. We love these days. We feel good. But if everything about your goals, if everything about your commitment is based on a feeling, you're probably going to fail. And so what does that mean? It's not to not look for feeling. It's not to have not to have extrinsic motivations. Have those. That's okay. That's a good thing. Find your favorite playlist of songs, create it on Apple Music or Pandora or whatever. That's fine. Find those motivations. Get your favorite outfits to wear to the gym. But let's go deeper. Let's make sure that we understand that we're not always going to feel like it. We have to create a foundation of discipline. We have to find deeper whys over time to stay. We got started off of these more surface level whys, but to stay and be consistent, we have to not, we may not feel like it. Let's paint a real life scenario for that person's watching. You're either in school or working a job, let's just say. You went to it for 8 to 10 hours a day. You're mentally and physically tired. You've been up since 7 or 8 in the morning, or maybe earlier. And then it comes 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You don't really feel like it. It's a random Tuesday. ESPN cameras aren't on you, watching you. You're not getting this trophy. I've said it before, the trophy is the sweat on your shirt. It's this internal thing. It's remembering your next goal. I want to lose 10 pounds. I may not feel like doing this right now. I have to do this. It's not an option. It's an obligation to my goal. I have to keep the vision and keep seeing ahead of my future goals. Let's go even deeper. What legacy are you wanting to leave? What changes are you wanting to make that you haven't been doing in your past? It's not too late. You have to start. The days you don't feel like it, you do it anyway. It's this non-optional mentality and getting away from the word option and getting to the word obligation, because you don't want to be a part of that big chunk of people that start something and never finish it, right? We want to be the exception to that. The good news is you're in control of that. Yeah. Whoever's watching, you're in control of whether you set it up that I'm just going to do it when I feel like it, or no longer am I going to just do it when I feel like it, when I feel good. I am going to be disciplined and committed. Even when I don't feel like it, I'm going to still follow through with the strategy and game plan I have to get, that's in my blueprint, to get to my next goal and the long-term goal. And ultimately, the goal is to not fit. There is no finish line, and being content that continuing is ultimately part of success, right? That you just continue. Because whoever you're watching, you have a purpose. You have an assignment that you were created and designed for that nobody else can replace. But it's really our choice to attack that. We have the tools to do that, or we can sit on our ass and just accept what is, get complacent, start something, and then when we don't feel like it, we just stop, like the majority of people do every year. Right. You can be the exception this year. Make 2023 last. Endure this year. Do not let how you feel be what you base everything on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And it's crazy because too often when we look at accomplishing something great or trying out something new, we kind of put these guys on a pedestal who have accomplished what we want to accomplish. And we think the struggle they have, that we have every morning, the struggle that I don't want to go to the gym, or I don't want to make this dial, or I don't want to get this certification, whatever it may be. We tend to think they have those same struggles and that they're overcoming them every day and that they're a beast. No, the reality is, take working out because it's so applicable. Eventually it just becomes who you are. You don't even overcomplicate it, right? It's not a decision. Like you said, what you mentioned before, take the optional out of it. You have an obligation to live up to your self-image, your image of yourself. So the hardest time is going to be in the beginning, right? I don't care if you're trying anything new. One thing that's really maybe underestimated by people that want to start a fitness journey is just how damn sore you're going to be, right? So don't work out just long enough to get sore and then not reap the benefits of it, right? Abs are on the other side of sore. I love to tell people that. But you start to get kind of primal about it, and say, if you work out and you don't get sore, you're like, damn, I didn't do nothing. Like that soreness, what do they say? Soreness is weakness leaving the body. You know, that's one thing, but that's, you know, there's always echoes of David Goggins when I hear you talk. And in the previous interview, you talked about callousing your mind. And just like if someone wants to learn how to play guitar, those first little bits, like your fingers are bleeding, they hurt, and then they get calluses. And now all of a sudden you're a guitar player and doesn't hurt anymore.
Absolutely. And culture starts with habits, little habits. The habit of talking about something and just talking and analysis paralysis and sitting your ass on your couch, as we all have that choice to do every day. But starting is, all right, I don't know all the answers, but I'm going to get up off this couch. I'm going to go drive to get dressed. I'm going to go uncomfortably. Let's say I'm not very confident. That's okay. I'm going to drive to the gym. I don't even know all the answers to how to even do a workout, but I'm either going to go try to do some of the machine weights or lift weights, or let my pride down and if I can afford it, sign up for a trainer, call a friend, or I'm just going to get on the treadmill, or I'm going to go outside and walk the dogs. Maybe that's your first step. I'm going to ride the bike with my spouse. We're going to start riding bikes. We're going to start walking around the block 2 miles every day. Just starting movement, just keep moving is the name of the game, because the most common thing, unfortunately, that I heard with people that fell off is they just stopped. It's that simple. They just stopped. At some
cold
point in
turkey.
life, they
Yeah.
stopped moving. They stopped doing any exercise. So that's my biggest, at the foundation of it all, the biggest piece of advice is get moving, stay moving, keep moving. We can get into all the different options of workouts. I told you, earlier about exercise taste buds, right? We all have different styles and taste buds that are all effective if we keep doing it, right? And a healthy rule of thumb for me with fitness is to be effective, but also to be able to do it. It's called slightly uncomfortable. I would say most people should not attempt to do something that's extremely uncomfortable. The entire workout's extremely uncomfortable. And how can we define this in some specifics? It would be like doing bench press with too much weight,
right? Where
I have to have a spotter every second of the whole time. So I don't even benefit of the stabilization, and my pride's in the way, right? Or let's say on the treadmill, I'm trying to run at speeds I just can't maintain for a mile or 5 miles or whatever my goal is. I'm setting myself up for failure and getting frustrated and quitting already because I'm trying to do something I'm not ready to do yet. On the flip side, it can't be so easy and just fun only that I don't get the ripple effect of benefits of it being fun.
Right.
The fun really is effectiveness.
Yeah.
So for me, if you're not sustainable, you're ineffective. If you're not slightly uncomfortable, it's not going to be effective. And that's where something too easy, something too hard usually are not going to be effective or sustainable, if you will. So that's very important.
And I think that's why a lot of guys will burn out from the gym early on. As Warren Buffett once said, you can't have a baby in a month by getting 9 women pregnant, right? So like there's a natural order to things. That's the fitness side, which is huge. But it doesn't just end there, right? So we've always heard about guys that make a lot of money, they're entrepreneurial, but in really, really bad shape. And then you see guys who are, fitness junkies, but don't have other stuff in their life, right? You know what I mean? There's levels to this shit, right? There's different things I got to hit. If I work out real hard and eat like crap, I'm not going to reap all of the benefits. But I do think working out is a keystone habit that if you see someone that's in great shape, okay, they probably got other stuff in line too, just because of the discipline it takes to do that. But you have some exciting news going into the new year, which I don't know if you weren't as physically able and capable as you are, that you would even be open to making a change like this. So maybe talk people through. You shared the story with me, which I thought was so cool because it kind of came out of the blue, and you just You said you threw an offer out and you're like, holy shit, they took it. So what you got going on with that?
Yeah, I'll start off with a phrase that I use quite often that I truly strive to live by and keep in the back of my mind is serve the purpose of this season in your life and serve it well, and you won't have to find your calling in life. It'll keep finding you. It may
Right.
change hats, it may change jobs, it may change careers. It'll keep finding you if you're genuinely serving others and serving the season you're in right now with extreme effort, trying to help people. So never underestimate yourself and your purpose. Whoever's watching this, don't underestimate what your plan, God's plan for your life really is and can be if you keep that faith the size of a mustard seed, right? But keep that faith and that vision of continuing to become, like we're talking about with fitness. I mean, look at my fitness journey, and I'll jump into my career. I used to be very much more, I call it one-dimensional with my fitness. I was about how much can you bench press? How much can you squat? How much do you weigh? How big are your arms? It was all about the test of the 1 rep max. That's still a piece of the pie. It's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Powerlifting, I respect a lot. Bodybuilding, same thing. I lost about 90 pounds after college football and playing 4 sports in high school and then college ball. And then I redefined what strong meant to me. I wanted to still be able to bench press and squat and these numbers and do well, but I wanted to also have lower body fat. I wanted to be able to run a marathon or a 50-mile marathon. I wanted to have no weaknesses that I was just not even working at, and just redefine what the word strong meant to me and become much more well-rounded and the new definition of strong for a more mature version of myself rather than this one-dimensional. And so for me in my career, it's been interesting, after about 8 years in personal training and wellness director, strength coach, trained about 5,000 plus people over that 8-year period. I got opportunities in pharmaceutical sales over the last 10 years. And the job and the hat has changed, but there's some non-negotiables there. Serving people at the very core of me and a relentless work ethic that I genuinely want to serve people, but I'm not afraid to go work a full day. The transferable skills, of taking bits and pieces of how to ask better questions, how to maybe entice different personalities in front of you with more effective conversation. So the products change, from urology to ADHD drugs to eye care has really been my thing for the past 6 years. And through some natural evolution, the nature of medical sales and pharmaceutical sales for eye care is that first of all, I'll just throw out there, not all pharmaceutical companies are the same. So for anybody that has a bad view of that, they're not all the same. I love eye care, by the way. So over the course of time, there's buyouts, different companies change. But at the end of the day, if you look in your heart and you say, I'm really out to serve people, I'm trying to master my craft. So if I'm naturally good at something, if I have good interpersonal skills, I can learn how to pre-call plan better, how to strategize, good questions, good openers, how to clinically sell a product. The product may change over the next 5 years or even 2 years. The company may change, but the opportunities you get in your career, the opportunities you get to keep growing when you don't get complacent, just like the fitness world, right? When you don't stop trying to just get better. And so to me, one of the worst things that can happen to somebody is to get complacent, where they don't try to better their art of selling or their art of whatever that, different careers may be. You still there, bud?
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm putting a lipper in.
So long story short around that is my career now has led me to a new opportunity that not only led to better compensation, which is always a factor. Let's be honest. It's not everything, but I also get to work on rare eye care disease and rare ocular disease. to help people that have literally a rare disease with their eyes. So it's amazing to hear some of the stories already. But the where I got to now is because of things that, a lot of things with fitness, truly, that I never got complacent. I'm very imperfect. I have a lot of things I want to improve on. I want to stay content. I think it's good to be content, right? If your goal is to lose 100 pounds and you haven't lost but 5, I don't want you to, I wouldn't encourage somebody to be miserable that you're not where your ultimate goal is, right? Let's say your goal is to lose 20 though, and you get to 20. My bigger concern is, well, what now? How many people stop? Let's say you get a job that you doubled your salary. What now? Let's say you have 3 kids and you have gotten married and you have a decent job. What now? Are you complacent is my question to whoever's watching this. Are you complacent? Do we really need to be honest with ourselves and say, maybe I am complacent. I'm not just content anymore. I'm complacent. I've stopped bettering myself. And my question to you is, what legacy are you going to leave? I'm asking myself right now, what legacy am I going to continue to leave? Just because I've done 13 marathons and I've signed up now for 15, right? Should I just stop? I've done enough. I've checked off that box, or the whole purpose is to keep going, to keep becoming. It's going to look different for Dodge. It's going to look different for Chase. It's going to look different for you. But the question we each have to ask ourselves when we don't feel like it, it's a random Tuesday, and a week from now, another month from now, it's in February 2023. Am I going to keep going or am I going to stop? What am I going to continue to leave? What are the choices I'm going to make?
We got Charles Benson in the picture.
I got to jump in just for a second. I've been listening over there. It's absolutely great. But you're talking about a purpose, and I know I'm blowing out with this light over here.
Yeah, you see it.
But I didn't mean to sabotage it, but that struck a chord with me because I'm at the age of 50, and I'm at this point I'm really trying to reinvent myself, not renovate. I'm not a house. So every year I come up with something different. Like, how can I not only better myself, but lead by example, I guess you could say. I am 50, but that doesn't set my parameters, doesn't set my boundaries of what I can do as a human to be a better physically, mentally, and, maybe spiritually better as a person. Does that make sense? I know I was just like, oh my God, I got to chime in a little bit here. I didn't mean to rain in on Matt's parade.
And Billy, something you said there, I call it a phrase that comes to mind with what you brought up is, I call it a mess to the masterpiece. Like for Billy, for you, and for me, and for Dodge, right? The mess to the masterpiece. This constant balance of, am I motivated? Am I committed? Have I worked on being a father? Have I worked on my physical fitness? Have I worked on my career? Am I working on serving the community I'm in Morehead City, right? Or Carteret County, or wherever you are, Florida, or anywhere in between. But this messy masterpiece that we're constantly checking all cylinders. Are we firing on all cylinders? Is Chase, are you, whoever's watching, are you working on, as Billy just alluded to, are you working on yourself mentally, yourself spiritually, yourself physically? And a lot of people like to say, I'm a good person, but I am going to not work out, And sure, you can do some good things in life. It's not everything. But why? Why waste the ability you have while somebody else is in a wheelchair? Maybe they served our country. Thank you for your service, but they can't walk anymore. Maybe they were born with a disability. They don't have that option. What they would give to have the ability you have to go lift weights, to go walk your dog, to go ride a bike, to go to the gym. And we're sitting here wasting it. And back to purpose for me is just doing a self-check every so often, at least once a week, and just saying, have I worked on a little bit of everything mentally, physically, spiritually, balancing self-development while still being selfless to the world and trying to serve others? But I think it starts with a conversation in your own mind with friends, with peers, right?
It does. And one thing that I'm going to concentrate on this year is to not only service other people, but start to serve myself. You know, I can't help. It's like the oxygen mask. You can't help others unless you put the oxygen mask on. So I'm going to concentrate on me a little bit more this year, other than trying to make sure everyone else is pleased. And it sounds selfish when I say it out loud, but in hindsight, when I actually think about it, it's not, because I'm the catalyst, I'm the nucleus of a lot of things in life, whether it be this show, whether it be my kids, whether it be my work. A lot of things will not come to life if I don't take care of myself in the nucleus. So that's why I work out. That's why, I mean, you've seen me. I mean, I kill it every day. You know, I go out.
All right, let's pump the brakes.
I love it, Billy, because something you said there is, it's not, I will say this, it's not selfish to take care of yourself and to do that first. The result of taking care of yourself allows the opportunity for you to take care of others. It allows you taking care of yourself first, allows you to serve and take care of those as best you are capable.
Exactly.
So I 100% agree with you in the sense that it starts with taking care of yourself, and then now we are the best version of being able to take care of those around us. So I love that. The purpose, back to the purpose.
100%. Well, Chase, I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to leave it over to Matt now.
Appreciate it, Billy.
Being that it's the first show of the year, well, first interview of the year, the year still got that New Year smell to it. We can track it, right? I can say I've worked out X amount of days per year, or I've showed up to the office X amount of days on time, and it's great. It's a fresh start. You mentioned something in an earlier interview. The number one reason people fail, it's not because they're doing the wrong workout or they're trying the wrong strategy. They just stop doing anything, really. And you know, we were talking before we came back on. I love the quote that is, the cave we're afraid to enter usually holds the treasure that we seek, right? So I think just, you can lie to everyone, you can't lie to the man in the mirror. So we all kind of have a general idea what we need to do, right? Every problem, the good thing about problems is they instantly reveal the solution, right? If I'm hungry, that's the problem. What's the solution? Eat. Right? If I'm thirsty, what's the solution? Drink. If I'm fat, what's the solution? Lose weight. You know, it creates that. What do you think, if you could give, and you've been motivating the heck out of everybody here, you know, we've talked at lengths from bodybuilding, or not bodybuilding, from lifting weights, fitness, and things like that. You've also achieved a lot professionally. What's some motivation you can give to people that, like, all right, I get it, I'm in good shape, but maybe, you know, I'll just use myself as an example, right? I've been kind of a natural at everything I've done. And then you get into sales, and sales is the great equalizer, right? Like suddenly I'm not as charismatic, or I'm like, man, I'm afraid to pick up the phone and talk to someone. And I'm afraid. What is your advice? Because you've been through a bunch of different things, you know, for someone that they're getting, in a lot of cases, their first bit of resistance. We've talked at length about, you know, I heard a quote that said, if you raise your children, you can spoil your grandchildren. But if you spoil your children, you're going to end up raising your grandchildren. And there's a lot of kids now, they're in the marketplace. It's competitive. It's the first time maybe they've ever heard no, right? It's the first time they've had to think on their own feet. It's never been a better time in the history of the world to be an entrepreneur, but you're out there, right? You've had to kind of figure it out as you go. So what is some advice you can give to people there that are kind of in the thick of it, and things that kind of helped you?
Yeah, a lot to take in there, a lot to process. But I think one of the big things that you said, Matt, that for me, a couple of things. I would start with gratitude. Something that I'm proud of. You know, we're all imperfect, but one thing I've held on to all these years is I'm very thankful. I truly am not entitled. I don't feel like I'm owed something. I don't wake up every day like somebody owes Chase the job, or I'm supposed to just show up and sign up for a lottery ticket, and it's supposed to just all of a sudden miraculously happen. I understand the blueprint of work ethic and effort and consistency, just like fitness, whether it's literal or physical, but or figurative, but you have to work hard. And it doesn't happen in one day. I think people create unrealistic expectations. The other thing that comes to mind for me, especially for people out there that are looking for growing their career and, financially growing as well,
Right.
is I think financially growing is a great question, but if it's the foundation, I think you're off. I think it has to be a result of something you're passionate about. So you have to have some self-awareness of some talent you have, and you have to have a lot of effort. But I think if you're out to truly serve people in your heart with something you're good at, the perfect storm is when you're good at something and you work hard at it and you're doing something genuinely good to the world. The result of financially benefiting is going to come. As far as actually how to make that happen, truly finding out what you're good at and not getting so afraid of a no in an interview process that you don't even do the interview, or afraid of failing, whatever that looks like. Temporary failures are just a part of it. You're going to skin your knee. You have to keep trying. So for me in my career, I never stopped applying myself. So for whoever's listening, don't underestimate your purpose. And don't mistake that. I'm definitely not saying be arrogant, right? I'm not saying, like, there's a fine line between confident and cocky. If you're not confident, you're missing the boat. You have to be confident in what you're capable of. It doesn't mean get complacent that you've arrived and you're your best version. We don't want to become arrogant or cocky. On the other extreme end, we don't want to be unconfident or afraid of these temporary failures along the way that are absolutely going to happen. Go ahead and set your mind. You're going to have some failure. That's how you grow. So for me, it's this fine line balance that I'm confident in what I'm capable of. Your goal is always to be a better version of you in a year from now. So when 2024 comes, you can honestly say, I'm closer to my purpose.
Mm.
And that you never become your hero of yourself in 5 years from now. It's always going to change. Being a better father or mother, or lose 10 more pounds, or stay in shape, or run another marathon, or bench press 20 more pounds, or keep being able to bench 400 pounds for another year. The goals continually come. They're good to have. The hero is you 5 years from now. The hero is you, the same you, but 5 years from now with more goals. And being content that you're never, once you get there, there's 5 more years, but you're constantly in development. And I think when you get used to that, and you get used to that, you're going to have some no's. You don't become arrogant or cocky. You don't lose your confidence either with some of those no's, and just continuing to try, just like 2023 right now. Wake up, start. Don't worry about Z yet. Just do A and B. We'll get to the rest of how to do it, the strategy of a good workout and all that. But the main thing is you got to put on the shoes. You got to go to the gym. You got to go outside and walk the dog. You got to start self-reflection and have some honesty that I got to apply this. I can't wait till I feel better than I do right now. I need to do it now. And so in my career, I never stopped trying to improve, applying to jobs that you don't know all the answers to. If you would have said to me, take me for example, 10 years ago, if you would have said, Chase, you're really good at training anybody. I could train a 90-year-old, a 10-year-old, somebody with 3 knee injuries, post-pregnancy. I could train a mentally or physically disabled person. I could train a professional athlete for different sports. But if you would have said, Chase, are you confident you could educate a doctor to change his habits of what he writes in his office? And he's an MD and a doctor, a medical doctor, and he's been doing it for 20 years. Could you influence his practice with confidence to change how he prescribes to his patients? Just using my example, I would have been like, I don't know. Well, guess what? I didn't know that I was capable of transferring that to that. I took my servant leadership mentality, the civilized lion mentality. I took working hard consistently and going out and try to make others' lives better, not being afraid to self-develop, like Billy kind of brought up earlier about spiritually, mentally, and physically working on Chase with what I can control. And I one last piece of advice, Dodge, for those out there watching, is really create a list of things you can control and things you can't control.
Right.
And really have an honest conversation with yourself of how much time am I spending on things I can't control? How much time could I be spending on things I can control? And then am I actually going to do that now? So I can control if I'm going to go to the gym or not 3 days a week, let's just say. Okay, let's be even more realistic. All right, 2 to 3 days a week, I'm going to go to the gym. Did I actually go? Did I put on the shoes, drive in my car inconveniently to the gym and get on the treadmill or go lift weights or both? So really looking at how much time am I focused on all these what ifs I can't do? What if I fail? What if I hurt my ankle? What if I'm tired? All these things in the world, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok that I can't control. I promise you, if you can scroll on TikTok for an hour or 2 hours, you can go make time to go work out, by the way. There's 168 hours in a week. There's 24 hours in a day. 1 hour a day is 4% of your day. 1 hour a day is 4% of your day. So how much time are we putting in the focus and fixation of our 24 hours on our minds and our hearts that we don't even control? The weather, people, other people's thoughts. Do they like me? Do they not like me? And getting back to, by the way, if you want to impress somebody else and get them to like you, just for what it's worth to those out there, how much better are you? How much more developed could you be of a better version of you for them to like? Or you've not worked on yourself at all. You might wear, I'm just using this as a fun example. You might get your hair done every week, but you haven't got on the treadmill or the elliptical at all in 3 years, but you got your hair done. And I'm not saying don't take care of yourself. How much have you worked on yourself spiritually or worked on your skills for your career that you could be better at? So, but you're not coming a better version of yourself, but somebody's supposed to just like you. You desperately, like they have to be a nice person. No, work on yourself, become the best version of yourself. And then you realize the whole goal along the way, the motive is for you to be happy internally. It's not even based on somebody liking you anymore.
Right.
So focusing on what you can control and then applying that, applying your focus in real life, getting your hands dirty, having fun with it, finding motivations, but sticking with it, creating that foundation that I am still going to continue to become my hero in 5 more years. And my hero, your hero is always the you that you could be in a year from now. It's 2023. Where will you be in 2024?
And I know we've had Josh Bell on who said his competition is the last year's version of himself. And
you versus you.
Yeah. It is so true. I just like you have had a chance to mentor men, guys that are just kind of, it's hard to find your way in the world as a dude. You're not really celebrated much now. And what I tell them is, adopt this mindset of just overall success, right? That's my expectation is success. I'm not going to define it necessarily right now because you're usually going to zoom back in and see where you're at. And you're like, I don't see it where it's at. But just adopt a mindset of success, of abundance, imagine bigger than you've ever seen, and don't limit it. But then once you do that, you raise your level of expectation, then just take note of where your attention goes, right? It's pretty remarkable when you say, this is what I want to do. This is the expectation, right? We're only going to have we're only going to grow to the heights that we're willing to settle for. Right. So if I set that up, and then just pay attention to where my motives are or where my attention goes, you know, as Christians, the Bible talks about to pray for a thing as if you've already received it and it'll be done unto you, right? Also, it tells you to go into a room, shut the door, and what you ask your Father in secret, he will give unto you. So I think the tendency for a lot of people is like, I'm all fired up, I'm going to go blast it out, I'm a millionaire. And it's like, you're immediately going to be, I can only judge you based on what I see. You can only judge me. I have no idea what's going on inside your mind. So I love the concept. What did 50 Cent say? Real gangsters move in silence, right? So it's a constant like revealing instead of running at the mouth. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. You know, I have just found when it comes to social media, when it comes to content, like stop consuming content, start creating it, right? Stop reading books, start writing it. Stop watching news, start making it.
And the biggest competitor, whoever's watching this, and you hit on this in some ways, Dodge, the biggest competitor, and Billy even brought this up, is you versus you. So for me, are you comparing yourself to yourself yesterday? Or, you know, you last year, as Josh alluded to? Are you really comparing yourself to you versus you, or to whoever's watching this? Are you comparing yourself way too much of your real-time testimony that you're living to somebody else's highlight reel that you're watching on social media? You don't even know all their problems. In fact, if you knew all their problems, you might not want their life. You knew how deep their problems go, you wouldn't want to trade spots with them. But you're looking at their highlight reel, what they show you on social media. You see their highlight reel, and you live your real-time testimony, and you're constantly looking at your real-time testimony, their highlight reel. So that's wrong. It's you versus you, your real-time testimony versus your real-time testimony, and break it down to just today, at January 3rd, 2023, am I going to be better January 4th, 2023? And then am I going to be a better version of myself on all cylinders? You know, whether you're a man, a woman, it's crazy world we live in, whether you're black, white, brown, green, alien like myself, right? But regardless of that, regardless of whether you're from a married family, a single parent home, you raised yourself, your brother raised you, whatever, we all have different circumstances. We all have a different deck of cards we're dealt. Change your deck of cards. Change your mindset. We choose what we magnify. What are you letting get loud? How loud are you letting that circumstance get? Are you still a victim? Or screw that. I'm ready to choose that I'm going to have a relentless effort. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm thankful for what I do have. I have the ability to get out of my bed and thank God for another day. I have ability to go keep getting better and to serve others along the way. As Billy kind of said, I got to take care of my self-development, but still be a selfless heart. But I got to start with working on me. It's 2023. What are you going to do with this opportunity? Don't worry about your deck of cards you dealt. We all have challenges. You might not know somebody else's behind the scenes of what's behind their highlight reel. We know you have a real-time testimony. There are going to be challenges, but are you going to magnify what you can't control? How loud are you letting it get? We choose what we magnify. Take this year and run with your dreams. Do not lose faith. Keep that childlike heart to still keep your vision, no matter whether you're 50 years old or 10 or 30 or 70. Keep your dreams alive.
Well, I don't think I can say it any better than that. Chase, man, I appreciate you so much coming on. This has been, it's got me fired up. What do you think? Billy's over there doing push-ups. So, guys, we appreciate it. This has been Chase Martin, the Civilized Lion, the beast of all beasts. And if you like the video, please subscribe. We've got a bunch of great interviews coming out. We had to start off with number one because it just makes sense. Make sure you smash the like button, share this with your friends. And if you have anyone that you think would be a fun interview, and if you're watching this and would like to come on the show, hit up Billy and he'll let you know whether or not you're worth a damn. But in the meantime, this has been the Magician and the Jock. We'll see you in the next video.
Thank y'all.